Neurodivergence. So that's your autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. I treat those with the symptoms being kind of my primary focus, because honestly, autism spectrum disorder can be purely genetic. I think a lot of it can come from PTSD, because if you think about kids who are traumatized or abused, their ability to interact with the world becomes abnormal to a degree. So if this kid's getting yelled at and they're afraid that they're going to get hurt from mom or dad, then they're going to walk around the world looking at people, kind of feeling that fear. And so they're going to come across as odd, or maybe not quite as verbal or looking you in the eye. So there isn't like a medication for or autism or whatever. It's more like, what are the symptoms? What's causing it? Is it because they're in constant fight or flight, because you're afraid you're gonna die or get attacked or whatnot? Then we need to approach calming that central nervous system down. A lot of times what I'll do is use like an SSRI, so it's like your Zoloft, Prozac, whatnot. I know a lot of people are really hesitant to use those, so there's other options as well. But the main thing is figuring out how to get out of fight or flight and get into that rest and digest. That changes people's lives, because they're no longer walking around like the lion's going to get them at any moment. It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm not worried. I'm not, thinking about all the things all day long and then becoming exhausted. The other side of this is ADHD. And again, that can be from PTSD as well. And it can very much be just a genetic neurological thing as well. What happens with the ADHD brain is it's like 15 different channels are going on, and you're trying to figure out which one to tune into. So it's really hard to stay on task, to remember things, to be present in conversation, because you're talking to somebody and there's all these things going on, and then all of a sudden you may look maybe kind of like you've got autism, because you're like, I don't know. So the interesting thing with ADHD, true ADHD people will take a stimulant like prescription crack, so Adderall or whatnot, and it doesn't cause more hyper, all the things. It actually calms the brain down. So the reverse of how they're feeling, which is chaos, it just brings calm, which is, again, very life-changing. So I'm very familiar with both of those conditions, and I don't treat it like it's a condition. I'm so curious, like, where did it come from? What was your family history like? How did it feel growing up? How do you relate to people now? And how can we support you to live the life that you have dreamed of or haven't even been able to dream of? So there's support like therapists, there's ADHD coaches, there are people who are really, really, really talented at autism spectrum disorder and can do kind of the rehab, which also involves sensory processing. So another interesting fact is people who have been diagnosed with avoidant restrictive ARFID or whatever, eating disorder, whatever. A lot of times it's because of the sensory processing, like they can't handle specific types of textures. So it's not because they're just trying to get skinny. So that's been a really interesting thing to observe over the last 4 or 5 years as well. And there are occupational therapists to help with that too. So there's just so many different avenues to treat with that condition or those symptoms. But again, I think it's really important for the practitioner to not just call it a diagnosis and throw the meds. It's what is going on underneath. So if you have questions about that, or you think you may have symptoms of either, come on in, we can talk about it and help get you feeling good.